Hey guys, we are back on the 1440, and before we hang this mule drive back underneath the machine there, I wanted to show you some things that we did and some stuff to look out for. So this is a Cyclops mule drive, so it's got the bigger pulleys in the front, and it also has like the grease fitting in the front, and yeah, it's got the little spring on the adjuster there. Um, there's a couple things to look for. First of all, right back here, you can see. Maybe you can see those grooves there where the belt has run uh, way past its service life and chewed into the bracket there. So just make sure this isn't gouged so far that it's going to be a problem. This one's not too bad, so we're going to leave it alone. We've got some wear here on the quick attach pins. Not going to worry about it for now. I'll probably eventually address that. But it's definitely a little worn. This is definitely a unit that's got some hours on it. You can see there on this side, not the same amount of wear there. We've also got some slop here. Could be taken up. So this thing's got, this thing's got quite a few hours on it. So I could address all of those pivot points, but for now I'm just going to let it be because it needs to be a mowing machine, and maybe we'll address that when we do the rest of the stuff to the engine. Maybe we can do a little more fine detail on that. But we did replace the pulleys, so they're nice and fresh. These grease fittings here tend to just push grease out that way. So what I did is I went through with a grease buster and put some penetrating oil in here to get it to loosen up the debris on this side so that it can actually flush grease out this side as well. And so I just ran grease through it until I saw it come out both sides. And that should make sure that this guy lives for quite a while. When I first got the mower, it was only hanging by one hanger, and then this one was just flopped down and laying on the deck. So when I first got it, I put it back together, on the trailer, or maybe right off of the trailer. I was able to hook it back up. It had just fallen past the cotter pin and fallen off of the lift. The hanger had just like popped off. But when I went and took a look at these, this guy was like really bent up and mangled. So this area here, so that wasn't at a right angle. That was kind of tweaked that way. It was sitting kind of like that. So I fixed that. The screw was also a little bit bent down here, and it still is just a hair, but it's not enough to hurt anything. And the one on this side was okay as far as the geometry goes. It wasn't all banged up or mangled or anything. But what I do on any of these mule drives when I take them off is I remove the nuts and chase the threads, and then make sure that I can get a good deck adjustment out of both sides. It's much easier than trying to fight a bunch of chewed threads underneath there and a nut that doesn't want to move and all that stuff. Eventually what we're going to do is probably replace this hanger because it's got a pretty significant amount of wear there. So not going to go too crazy there. This pivot point here was fine, just needed a little bit of lube, so we lubed up both of those pivots right there. Now it moves nice and smooth. No squeakies. The next point that wears is right here where this kind of works like a scissor lift, and this is like the pivot point of the scissor lift. You can see the wear. Let's see if I can put my hand behind it. Maybe it'll focus. Yeah, so you've got wear on the top and bottom of that arm. I don't know if it's going to focus on the top. Doesn't look like it wants to, but you can get the idea, right? You can see that it's worn there, so that would probably need to be, welded and ground flush. But again, we're not going to worry about it too much. I'm not going to beat this deck up. I don't mow for speed. I just mow for a good cut, and because I enjoy mowing and using the tractors. So I'm not trying to win any races with the thing. So yeah, mule drive. Definitely important to put some attention on. Oh, last thing, right here, where the other part of the scissor lift. So you got a pivot here, and a pivot here, and then a pivot there. This is where it rides on the adjustments of the deck. And you can see we're pretty worn there too. So maybe we'll give it some love when it comes back out. It's functional now. We're probably going to have to level the deck and everything once we put it under there anyway. So yeah, next we're going to move on to putting this cover plate back on, and then we'll show you some of the stuff that we addressed up underneath the chassis there while we were in there. And then we're going to move on to the deck and put it back on, and I think we're close to running it. Oh yeah, side panels too. We're going to do some work on those. So yeah, thanks for sticking around, everyone.